Bored at home? Head over to Chumba Casino and join some serious social casino fun. With hundreds of games at your fingertips, no purchase necessary. You can play anytime, anywhere. There's a special welcome bonus waiting for you when you sign up. Play for fun, play for free, and you can even redeem some great prizes. Visit ChumbaCasino.com and get ready to reel in the fun. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy. That's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
All episodes of A Trial by Podcast are for informational and entertainment purposes only. Much to their parents' dismay, neither host is a lawyer, journalist, or investigator. Just two people with microphones and Wi-Fi. While they strive to research thoroughly and use credible sources, their opinions are not facts. Shocking, we know. All actions discussed are alleged, and all parties are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. For the full legal mumbo-jumbo, check the show notes.
A quick trigger warning for this episode. We are going to have some brief mentions of mental illness, depression, and self-harm. So it's pretty brief. I don't think we go into it too much, but it will be coming up. All right. I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Emily.
And today I am going to tell you about the disappearance of 19-year-old Caitlin Denison, who met a man in Reno, Nevada, traveled to Texas to visit him in 2018, and has never been seen or heard from again. Trigger warning, extra long yap sesh in the beginning. So check the show notes and I'm going to put a timestamp for when we actually get into it. I'm very sorry. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I've got biz nasty. Let me pull out my notes. I got added to this group of girls who all do like true crime podcasts on Instagram, and they added me to this group chat. It was Jules from Missing in Hushtown who added me, and I just wanted to shout them out because I love them so much. I'm going to tag all of their like podcasts, or I'll tag their Instagrams in the show notes here so you can follow them because everything that they do is unique. There's one girl who just covers crimes that involve arson, like fires. Mm-hmm. And then there's another girl who's like covering one case, the case of Jennifer, and I believe her daughter's name was Adriana Wicks. And, you know, it's just like seasons about the same case. And then there's people who do it like us where it's like episodic. Like they do different cases. And these girls are just like, they make me feel sane. I love talking to them. And I love their podcast. And I just want to give them a shout out because doing all of this is hard on top of working a full-time job. And then like sometimes you get mean comments or, you know, something's not going well and whatever. And I literally just put it in that group chat and they make me feel so much better about it. So shout out to them. Please check out their podcast. There are a lot of them in that group. I don't even know how many off the top of my head. Like I think maybe 8 to 10. That's why I'm not going to like just list it all out. But please check out their podcast. I'm going to link them in the show notes. So with that being said, I feel like there was one other business thing that I thought of yesterday that I was like, I have to mention this tomorrow. But it's not in my notes. I thought I put it in my notes. Oh, I remembered what it was. I remembered. Huzzah. I want to start doing, and don't freak out.
Uh-oh.
I want to start doing listener stories.
Oh.
A lot of other true crime podcasts do listener stories. If you don't know what listener stories are, it's where listeners write in stories. Sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're scary, sometimes they're spooky, sometimes they're sad. Any human emotion, okay? And then we just kind of read them and talk about them. Now, some people hate listener stories. I know this from other podcasts, okay? I used to not like them, but then I would run out of episodes and like
Same.
sometimes you just need some background noise. So I know that people don't like them. I don't plan on replacing our normal episodes with them ever. And maybe if something happened and like we couldn't get an episode out for some reason, it's better than nothing. But mainly like I just want to drop a bonus episode every once in a while because I feel like me and Emily will have fun with the listener stories. Like I get a lot of really funny DMs and comments and stuff from you guys. And I love interacting with you guys. But sometimes it's hard just throughout the day. You know, I work all day. So to just be going back and forth is really hard. So I'm like, I would love for people to write in stories. So if you're interested in writing in a listener story, send it to our email, please. It's atrialbypodcast@gmail.com. Make sure you put like a document. Don't just write it in the email just because that'll be hard for me to read it. But if you can put it in like a PDF or a Word document or something so I can read it from there, that would be great. If you don't want the names to be used in your story, change them, okay? Because I am not good at, I'll forget, okay? But I would love to hear your listener stories and
Like we should call them something fun.
well, I was
Weren't
okay.
we gonna-
This is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking like we just title an episode like Yap Sesh.
Oh. Yeah,
Listener
but like
yapping?
I feel like it has to be like we got to make them feel special.
The gallery girls gabbing.
Yap session with the gallery? No.
Gallery Yap Sesh.
Yap sesh sponsored
I thought
by
of something good the other day and I didn't write it down. You guys let us know.
Yeah.
Give us ideas. We're not creative. Maybe I'll make a post and I'll comment and I'll have people comment. Because honestly, this might
Or
come
like an
out like
Instagram
in
poll.
January. I don't want to wait that long. But yeah. Send us your stories. Let us know what you think we should call it. Wait, I got one more thing. I might cut some of this out. Or if it's especially long, I'll put a thing in the show notes for people to like skip
trigger
ahead.
warning.
Here,
an
I'm gonna cut this in at the beginning.
beginning.
But I just wanted to mention, me and Emily went to Taco Tuesday on Tuesday.
I had the most uplifting time.
Dude,
Like,
it was girlhood at its finest. We were just sipping on margaritas.
I feel like people were literally judging us too.
We were just sipping on margaritas, having a therapy session, like loud as fuck.
Oh yeah, loudly yapping.
Yeah.
About all of our problems.
Yeah, it was good, dude. I needed it.
Oh, it was so good for my soul. But the next day, I think I had to take a whole day to recover.
Oh,
because the bartender sent us that tequila shot.
Yeah.
I had 2.5 margaritas, which
Yeah.
2 is my hard limit. From now on, hard limit.
Yeah,
Yesterday,
dude.
I thought I could go over that because I'm older. I'm grown. I haven't been to fiestas in over a year. And I'm like, I can handle it better now. I can handle it worse now, just so you know.
No, it was like when we got there and I just got a beer. I was like, I'm going to take, it was Tuesday night. I got to work in the morning. And then when they sent those shots, I was like, all right, fuck it. Let's do it. And
First of all, I
had,
went to the
longest-
bathroom and came back to a shot. And all I remember seeing is
The whole bar was waiting for Emily. Like
Literally.
the bartender got everybody shots and there's 10 people waiting for Emily to get back from the bathroom.
everybody's looking at me and all I
It was so
see
nice
is the
of them,
shot
though.
in front of my seat. And I go, oh no.
It was so nice of them though. They're like, we have to wait for her friend. We have to wait for her friend. I was like, you guys. But it was like one of those things where I was like, this is, it ended up being a little bit expensive. I had to work in the morning. I did not feel good the next day. I still did a great job at work.
did not
It
feel
wasn't
good.
like I was like super, I just had one beer and one margarita in that shot. So I guess that's a lot. Don't drink like us kids. But man, I was like, I needed that.
Yeah,
I needed that.
Me too. We both sent each other like long texts.
we
like,
literally-
Thank you so much for that vent session. We needed that so much.
We were texting each other after, like,
Literally crying.
I'm so glad that our friendship withstands the trials
Wait,
and
let me-
tribulations
I'm
of
gonna-
life. I'm so grateful for you. Like
hold on.
literally, the best part is I went to bed and I woke up to the longest text back from Emily after I sent her like a super long one.
Yeah.
And I just texted her back. I was like,
You're my ride or die 5 ever. I love you and we'll make it to at least our 90s as friends.
oh my God, dude.
That was you. And then I said, what did I say back? Special thanks to the 3 margaritas and shot of tequila from Fiesta Jalapenos. You had to scroll to see this whole message, and that's how you should know.
Dude, if you are just like having one, like and I feel like a lot of people are going to be like this because when this comes out, it's going to be like winter and depressing. If you're just having one of those weeks, go to Taco Tuesday with your girl.
Get a marg or 2. No more than 2.
Get a couple, get 2. Take an Uber home.
Even though I know you're going to want 3, say no.
Yeah, say no to the third one.
Yeah.
Go to Taco Tuesday, 2 margaritas. Don't take the shot either. You don't need it. We didn't need that shot.
Or do and immediately switch to water, you know?
Yeah. But I actually took half of my shot and then poured the rest in the salsa.
What?
Because I had to drive home.
That's why I felt so much worse than you the next day, because you didn't even take the whole shot.
No, I did not. You drank way more than you did.
Yeah, I did.
But I'm more emotional, so I need less liquor to make it come out. But no, if you're just having one of those weeks, go to Taco Tuesday with your girl, drink a margarita, get a virgin one if you don't drink.
Yep.
And just
get a good yap sesh.
Gab, dude. Just gab. Tell them something you didn't want to tell them.
Salsa heal the soul.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure. And if you're like, I don't have anyone to go with, go get a margarita by yourself.
Power move.
We love that. Put on a cute outfit. Go sit. Have a margarita by yourself.
Take yourself on a little date.
Don't drink too much. Be aware of your surroundings.
You can yap to yourself. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Call a friend. Call a family member. If you don't live by people you know.
Phone a friend.
Okay.
All right.
So, for real this time.
Jinx.
I'm really sorry that we're getting off on this, but
it was needed. Sorry.
It was needed, and I
honestly
honestly feel like
that in a while,
girlhood is kind of a theme in this episode because the case that we are covering today, which is about the disappearance of Caitlin Marie Denison. So I actually heard about this because Caitlin's sister, who is named Rachel, and their best friend, Emily, who is also named Emily.
Uh-oh.
So Rachel and Emily are basically, they're out there trying to get media attention for this case. And I really found this, first of all, this case is horrific and infuriating, like all of the cases that we talk about. But I also feel like it's a really cool example of what podcasts and YouTubers and social media can do to help these families of missing and murdered people. We're going to talk a lot about Kendall Rae, which I'll explain who she is if you don't know who she is. But I don't know. I just feel like Caitlin is very lucky to have people like Rachel and Emily in her corner. And I watched an interview that Rachel and Emily did, and it's total girlhood vibes. This is our girl. That's our sister, even though Caitlin and Emily weren't technically related. And they will go to the ends of the earth to find her and find out what happened to her. And I feel like they would appreciate our girlhood margaritas story.
Oh, absolutely.
They'll be like, we get that, dude. We get that. So, like I said, there's this girl named Kendall Rae. She, if you don't know who she is, which she's like one of the biggest true crime YouTubers ever. So some people are like, how could I not? But I think some people don't. So I'm going to explain it. She's a true crime YouTuber. She's got like millions of subscribers. She always has her makeup like absolutely immaculate, looks perfect.
On fleek.
Yeah, I don't know if she does like makeup videos too.
No.
I haven't seen them if she does, but I love her videos. She does a good job of like really picking cases that need attention because she's already like really built an audience. I'm sure she does some like famous ones too. I'm sure there's a mix. But so one of the main resources I used to cover this case was Kendall Rae's video on it because she actually interviewed Caitlin and Rachel for it. So you're hearing the story firsthand. And it was also the most like comprehensive source I could find because there's a lot of like small articles out there, which I used a bunch of. They'll be in the sources on the website, even though I'm like about 10 episodes behind on putting those on there, but I have them. But like this video that she did was really great. And Rachel and Emily like just did such a great job like telling Caitlin's story and getting across like who Caitlin is and all of that. So check that out. I'm going to tell you we'll get into the details, but Kendall Rae changed the course of this investigation with one video.
Oh shit.
It's really amazing and I love to see it. So we'll
Talk
get
about
into
a
those
power
details.
move.
But I wanted to like give credit where credit was due because I did take a lot of this information, especially like the first half from Kendall Rae's video, just because it's an interview. But she did a fantastic job, so check hers out too. So Caitlin Marie Denison was born on August 7th, 1998. Like I said, she has a sister, Rachel. And Rachel told Kendall Rae that Caitlin was always just a super vibrant and happy person who looked for humor in every situation. Like she was just trying to make the best of anything that was, going on in life. Mm-hmm. Now, right off the bat, that kind of just makes me want to be friends with her. You guys know by now probably, unless this is your first episode you're listening to, but I'm the type of person where I look for humor in everything. I always look for something to laugh at. I'm that type of person like where I'll probably like I might be at a funeral and just make the most horrendous joke or like just be at I don't know. Because for me, I know not everybody's like that, so I try not to do it because I don't want to offend anybody. But for me, that kind of stuff, I'm like, as long as you can laugh, everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Eventually, in a bad situations. Mm-hmm. That's just my mindset. But so when I heard her say that, I was like, I already like this girl. I already like Caitlin. Now, in addition to being hilarious and goofy, she was also extremely adventurous and just loved to have a good time in general. One of Caitlin and Rachel's best friends, Emily, who I've already explained who she is, she described Caitlin as, quote, the most friendly, outgoing, charismatic person that I've pretty much ever met in my life. She immediately made you feel like she was your best friend, end quote.
Oh.
Now, Rachel says that Caitlin always made it a point to make sure that no one felt left out or like alone or out of place. Like she was always trying to make sure everyone felt included. However, sadly, Rachel's own journey since Caitlin went missing has been a relatively lonely one. Caitlin was her best friend, her sister, her soul sister since birth. And living life without Caitlin is something that Rachel never could have imagined happening to her. Thankfully, though, she has Emily by her side, and the two young girls have been spearheading the efforts to keep Caitlin's case in the media, to keep people looking for her, and hopefully to find answers one day. Now, it hasn't been easy for them, but Rachel just seems like the type of person who steps up to the plate without hesitation. And she says that growing up, even though Caitlin was actually the oldest sibling, she said that she was the middle child, Caitlin was the oldest, but Rachel was still kind of always like the leader of the siblings. She, Caitlin was more like, it sounds like she was more like fun, have a good time, let's laugh at this. Mm-hmm. And Rachel was like, all right, but let's also move in this direction type of thing.
Right.
Making sure things that need to be done are done. Now, she told Kendall Rae that she and Caitlin's dad worked a lot while they were growing up. And so he left them at home with their mother, who was sadly suffering from alcoholism. So, this isn't Rachel's words, but to me, I get the impression it sounds like she kind of stepped up to the plate and was like, I'm going to help run the household, take care of my siblings and make sure, people are doing what they need to do. Mm-hmm. Now, in 2017, Caitlin and Rachel were living in Reno, Nevada. Caitlin, who was 19 at the time, met this guy. Okay? Red flag already. Don't meet guys. But she met this guy, and we do not know his name to this day. However,
mystery man?
Yes, and not a good mystery man.
Oh.
So this guy, all we know about him is that he is from a city called Midland, which is in western Texas. So Texas guy, you guys know who I'm talking about now. She meets this guy. She's 19 years old in 2017. They meet, and to everyone's knowledge, they were just friends. Although I couldn't find any details on how they initially crossed paths.
Yeah.
Because
like a dating app or online or at a concert maybe.
Because Rachel and Emily didn't even know this guy's name. So it's not like he was like hanging around them and their friends all the time or anything like that.
Yeah. Just this random guy.
So that's and you're probably like, Kelsey, this is a horrible description of this guy. But the point is, we have no information. We just know he's from Texas. We don't know the situation. We don't know his name. We don't know much about him. We just know he's from Texas. So randomly, this is about 6 months or so, I think, after she met this guy. At 2 a.m. on January 9th, 2018, Caitlin texted Rachel saying that she was stopping by Rachel's to pick up some clothes and makeup that she had left there. Odd time to be doing that at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
So Rachel wasn't home at the time because she was sleeping over her boyfriend's house that night. But when she got home in the morning, the items were gone. So it does seem like Caitlin went and took these items from where Rachel was staying, like she said. Mm-hmm. Now, Caitlin also told Rachel via text that the reason she needed to get her things was because she was going to Texas, presumably with this guy from Texas.
Yeah.
Now, when she got to Texas, she sent her location to Rachel, which showed that she was in the Midland/Odessa area. It's 2 different cities, super close to each other. However, Caitlin asked Rachel to make sure that she didn't tell anyone that she had gone to Texas, especially not anyone from their family. And it's their sisters. They're close in age. So Rachel's, I got you, girl.
I got your back. Yeah.
I'm not going to tattletale on you.
But also, that's a red flag.
Well, that's what I wonder, why? I mean, it might just be more about the fact that the family would have been upset. She's only 19 years old. Like, the family might be upset that she's just going out of state with some guy,
Yeah, that nobody knows the name of.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Companion. Iris and Josh seem like the perfect match, but when a weekend getaway turns into a nightmare, Iris realizes that things aren't as perfect as they appear. From the creators of Barbarian and the studio that brought you The Notebook comes a twisted tale of modern romance and the sweet satisfaction of revenge. Companion, only in theaters January 31st. Rated R, under 17, not admitted without parent.
So I could see like how, I don't know, if my brother did that and it was like, I'm flying to Texas to meet this girl, I would be like, all right, I'm not going to tell on you.
Yeah, I got your back. Yeah. Go live your life.
So Rachel agrees not to tell anybody. And Caitlin told her, look, I'm going to call you tomorrow at 2 p.m. So make sure you answer. Like she told her, make sure you answer. However, like we've heard in so many stories before, Rachel waited for Caitlin's call the next day, but it never came. Mm-hmm. However, Rachel texted Caitlin later that day when she was like on her break at work saying, hey, like I can call you, I'm on my break. But Caitlin didn't respond to her until the following day, which was January 10th. So I believe this is 2 days after she left to go to Texas.
Okay.
Or it's two days after she went and got all the stuff from Rachel's house.
Okay.
So January 10th, she tells Rachel that hey, I can talk today around 12:30 if you're free. And this time, Caitlin did actually call Rachel. And she tells Rachel that she had flown to Texas to see the guy that she had just met 6 months earlier. And she also mentioned, like, she wasn't by this guy when she's on the phone with Rachel. He's off somewhere else. And the way that she explains it is that they were at Walmart. Like, she was calling her from Walmart. And she had walked away from this guy to make the call, which in hindsight is odd, right? Like, why can't you call your sister? And and it seemed to be a simple conversation at first, at least. She's just saying, I flew to Texas last minute with this guy. It doesn't seem like she's telling a secret or anything like that. So it's just, again, it's in hindsight, it seems just odd. But Rachel did think this was like, she's like, that's kind of weird. Yeah. So she's like, look, Caitlin, send me your location again. She wanted to make sure that she had it. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of their phone call, Caitlin told Rachel that he's coming back, I gotta go, type of thing. And So she promptly hangs up on her sister. However, she did end up sending the location after she got off the phone.
Okay.
And this location showed that she was indeed at a Walmart in Midland, Texas. So we're on track here.
I feel like you could also look at that as being like, I don't know, maybe she wanted to get away from him to talk about him.
Right.
To her,
100%.
you know?
You never, even if you're like, this is kind of a odd situation, like in the moment, you never think, oh my God, like something
Like she's in
horrible
trouble.
is going to happen.
Exactly.
And not at this point.
And
at
she
least.
she didn't say anything on the phone about it.
Yeah, but it was weird that she was like, I have to go. He's coming back. Like almost as if it's a secret that she's even on the phone.
Yeah.
I don't know. Obviously, I wasn't on that phone call, but just the way that I've read about it, that's like the impression I get. Now, this phone call from January 10th, 2018 was the last time Rachel spoke with Caitlin on the phone, ever. The call alone had Rachel pretty worried about her sister. Just the way that she was scared to talk in front of this guy and like how she was being so careful about it and all of that. It just like gave her this like weird feeling. It freaked her out a little bit.
Yeah. Her gut was like, nope, don't like that.
Exactly. However, the pit in her stomach was only going to get deeper when Caitlin sends a text message to her and she says, quote, "He is mad that I won't let him lay a hand on me. This guy makes me a little scared for my life," end quote. She also sent another text to her sister saying that she had to pull a knife on this man because he had tried to touch her. Not good.
Never good.
Not good. Now, hearing this, I guess Caitlin telling Rachel this, I'm scared for my life and I feel like I have to defend myself. Rachel's terrified now. She's terrified for her sister's safety, and rightly so, because the next day she could no longer get a hold of Caitlin. No texts returned, no calls answered, nothing. So she wasted no time, and she and her dad pretty much immediately reported Caitlin missing to police on January 12th, 2018 in Reno. Because again, they're living in Reno. They're not in the same state. Now, a missing persons report was filed, and not long after, police received a tip that Caitlin had been seen in Midland with this guy who was a truck driver.
Oh, no.
So police immediately go to interview this man. They're like, we got to talk to this guy. And they also interviewed his mom, too, which I thought was interesting.
Interesting. Did he live with her?
I don't know.
Because that's weird.
I'm not sure. I couldn't find that. It kind of sounded like it, but I don't know for sure. So this man tells police that Caitlin was struggling to find work in Texas. So back in Reno, Caitlin actually worked as an exotic dancer, and she was looking for a club in Midland where she could basically continue getting that bag, dude. She's like, I got to find a good place. And according to this man, Caitlin was having difficulty getting hired because she actually had scars from self-harming. So I guess people didn't want to hire her because of these scars, which breaks my heart. And I do want to add, if you are struggling with self-harm or suicidal thoughts or ideation or thoughts of self-harm, please reach out to 988. That's here in the United States for our international listeners. Please Google it. I don't know what it is in your country, but I know that it's just a Google away for help. You can call 988 here in the U.S. You can chat. There's no fee or anything. You can do the chat online. You can text that number. But if you were looking for a sign to get some help, here's your sign. We're flashing it at you.
Yep.
Now, sadly, Rachel and Emily feel very strongly that the fact that Caitlin was a dancer has pretty much eradicated not only the public's empathy for her, but also the empathy of the investigators. Rachel told Kendall Ray, quote, "I think that was the biggest setback. Once people found out that she was a dancer and that she would go out, that all of a sudden she was this bad person, you know? She wasn't beautiful anymore. She didn't seem nice anymore. Once that came to light, that became the most important part as to why she shouldn't be found, why she deserved to go missing," end quote. But none of that is true. I think it's true what she's saying about the perception, but it's like Caitlin was beautiful. slash is beautiful. We don't know. She was nice. She was a good person. She loved her family. She was loving, and she did not deserve to go missing. But like I said, if I'm being honest, I think Rachel's right about how Caitlin's case is being disregarded because of this fact. And so often in true crime, especially when we talk about like serial killers, you hear these stories about these serial killers or serial predators who prey on like exotic dancers or sex workers, maybe because of some psychological thing they've got going on, but also because they know that these victims historically and statistically are less cared about by the public. They're less reported on. They're less of a priority to authorities than, say, a Christian mom of 3 who's a stay-at-home mom, which that woman should get attention too if she's victimized. But we can't. I feel like the media, it just seems uninterested in this kind of stuff because they're like, well, you're an exotic dancer, or you're which, by the way, Caitlin wasn't a sex worker. She was an exotic dancer. I'm just
very different. Yep.
I'm relating it to other true crime things, if you get what I mean. But they look at it and say, well, you put yourself in a dangerous situation. But then
I feel like they say it like almost like they deserve whatever happens to them, and that's not okay.
Right. Like they're seen as living this high risk lifestyle. So when something bad happens, it's, well, that's what happens when you use your sexuality to make money. But it's not. Like, what happens when you use your sexuality to make money is you get on stage, you dance sensually, and people pay you for it, and you make a lot of money. That's the end. That's the end of it. What's happening here is not because of her job. It's because someone, allegedly, we don't know for sure, but chose to victimize her. Chose to, and it's the same thing with these like serial killers and stuff. It's these women aren't choosing to be hurt. They're choosing to use their sexuality to make money. And these men are then victimizing it. They're two separate fucking things. That's what I want to get across because it makes me angry. I don't know. I'm harping now, but it pisses me off because I feel like people they'll condemn people who are like exotic dancers, strippers, whatever, because
write them off.
Yeah, they're like, oh, well, they're dancing in lingerie for money. But then they'll go see like a pop star in concert who's doing the same thing. And it's, what is the difference? They're like
an icon, yeah.
And it just, I don't know, it makes me mad. And it just brings back it's the same ideology behind like when a woman is raped or something or assaulted and people are like, well, what was she wearing? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
It doesn't matter what she's wearing.
Why does that matter? Because it shouldn't.
And it doesn't matter what Caitlin did for a living. Her life matters just as much as any other victim. And I don't know. I feel like you guys get my point by now, but it just makes me angry. So let's continue. So basically, this guy's telling police that she was looking for a new dancing job. She was having trouble finding something. And then he says that one night while he was asleep, Caitlin just packed up her bags and left, and he hasn't seen or heard from her since. And by the way, like he's saying that she's having all this trouble finding a job. I'm like, by the time she was reported missing, they had only been in Texas for, I don't know, like 3 days.
Yeah, like less than a week.
4 days maximum.
Yeah.
So like how, even if you're applying to one place each day, I don't know.
That's pretty quick to give up,
It's stinking like bullshit.
Very smelly.
And then he says, oh, and then one night she just packed up her bags and left and I haven't seen or heard from her. And
okay, sir.
If this is starting to smell like bullshit for you, like it is for me, you will be happy to hear that police didn't stop there. They did look into her flights from Reno to Midland. They didn't really find much, apparently. That's what they were saying at first. And unfortunately, these fucking bastard police did not share any of the details of what they did find from all of this investigation into the travel. Like, they didn't share any of this with Caitlin's family. Now, to be fair, this is possibly to protect the integrity of the investigation or to keep some of the information private so they can corroborate it with the suspect later on or something. But just my perspective, just my impression, it doesn't really sound like that's the case here. Because they told Caitlin's family that Caitlin had one layover on the way to Texas. But they said it's unclear whether the layover was in Las Vegas or Phoenix. And that makes no sense to me. There has to be a record of this from the airline, right?
Yeah.
Like, how would they not know that? This is way post 9/11. They're keeping shit tight in American airports, okay? I find that unbelievable.
I mean, as long as if they can find a flight number, then they should be able to see if it was
Well, if they found
layover
a
or
flight
not.
number, they never shared it with Caitlin's family,
Okay.
is what it sounds like. So that's what I'm like, do you guys have this information and you don't want to share it? Or are you not taking the time to find out?
Yeah.
Now, they did discover that Caitlin actually flew without an ID that day, which I didn't really know was a thing, but I guess it happens. And like, they kind of like call you back and like question you. And as long as you are not on like a list or something, and
Like a do not fly list.
yeah, like I don't really know exactly what the process is, but like
it's possible,
they
I guess.
eventually let you fly.
But then also, wouldn't they have more evidence that like of an information because
You
she
would
didn't have her
think.
ID?
You would think there would be more of a record about this.
But also, how was she applying to jobs and going to move to Texas with no ID?
Well, I think that for dancing, it's probably like you have to audition before you like you're not like probably filling out paperwork and stuff until they choose to hire you, I would assume, but I don't know for sure.
I don't know. That's
Like,
weird
maybe
that
she's
she would
just
leave her
auditioning.
ID, though. I don't know.
It is weird. Like, yeah, eventually she would have had to fill out some sort of
Yeah.
paper. I don't know. Anyway, Caitlin's family is working with police and they're like, okay, can you guys like find security footage from the airports? Because they wanted to see what was her demeanor, what was going on. But police told them that they weren't able to find any security footage from the airports.
Weird.
Again, I find this fucking odd because
That doesn't make me feel very secure if I'm going on a fucking airplane. If they can't find any security footage.
And I can't imagine that they're like, that it's like footage from a convenience store where it's like taped over every 48 hours or something. Like,
Yeah.
airport security footage in the United States has got to be like, I'm sure they keep it for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know how long, but
I
like,
mean,
that
I would
seems-
say forever, but that's just me.
Now, maybe that, I don't know, maybe there's some like extra regulation where it's like, oh, we can't give that to you unless you have a warrant or something. But I don't see why, if it's police asking
Yeah, and if
for
they
it.
couldn't get the warrant, like what?
I don't know, but I just feel like there had to have been footage at some point.
And
like,
they're just like
were they
saying
not
no
just-
because they're being lazy?
I don't know, but it bothers me.
Yeah, me too.
Now, Rachel told Kendall Ray that at the time that Caitlin went missing, it is possible that while she was traveling that she was pregnant. So she does know for sure that Caitlin was pregnant at one point, but she does not know whether or not she was still pregnant when she went missing.
Do they know who the baby daddy is? Do they think it's this weird Texas guy?
So, no. I actually asked Rachel this question directly, and she said, quote, "We do not believe Caitlin had a romantic relationship at all with this guy. She was pregnant with someone else before she left," end quote. So I do not know who the father of the baby was, or whether or not, Rachel knows who it was, but not this man. And it sounds like they had no romantic relationship at all. Now, Rachel tells Kendall Ray basically like this, it's really funny. I thought the story was really funny, so I wanted to share it. But Rachel says that she and her ex-boyfriend were hanging out with Caitlin and they're all sitting in line at a drive-thru. And Caitlin asked them kind of something along the lines of, hey, have you guys ever tried frosting and mustard mixed together? And Rachel and her ex-boyfriend just started cracking up like, no, why would we try that?
What a weird combination.
Right. And Rachel then tells Caitlin, she's like, you must be pregnant because no one does that. That's weird.
Yeah, that's a weird craving.
And Caitlin's telling her like, no, I'm not. But a few days later, she took a test and it did come up positive.
Oh, shit.
Now, remember, Caitlin was very young, just 19 years old at the time. So she was scared. She didn't know what to do. And I assume she was debating through the obvious options in her head to have the baby and keep the baby, to give the baby up for adoption, or to have an abortion. Now, note to listeners, and I know I've already preached for 10 minutes earlier, but I'm going to preach for one more minute. No anti-abortion comments are welcome here. You are totally entitled to your own opinion, okay? Have your own opinion.
As are we.
As are we. But this story is not about you or us or your opinions or our opinions or politics or religion
Or your mom's
whatever.
opinions.
This story is about Caitlin, about a young girl who was scared, telling her sister she was scared for her life, and who has now been missing for almost 7 years. Caitlin's life is the life we are focusing on here. So any hateful comments about a victim on our podcast or our social media will result in an immediate block as soon as we see it. Again, have your own opinions, but some inside thoughts stay inside your head. And when we're telling a horrific story about a victim, we are focused on the victim's story. We're not here to talk about theology and whatever, okay?
Yeah.
So anyway.
Not the place for that.
Not the place for that. And you should, if you're a grown adult, you should know that. So at the time that Caitlin went missing, she had not yet told Rachel what she had decided to do about her pregnancy. This is why Rachel says that it's possible she was no longer pregnant at the time that she went missing, but it's also possible that she was still pregnant. No one knows.
Yeah.
And like we said in another episode, just an FYI, this is a horrific fact for ladies out there, but one that you should all know. The leading cause of death for pregnant women in the United States is being murdered. It's not ectopic, whatever.
It's not during childbirth.
It's not childbirth. It is being murdered, usually by their partner. Mm-hmm. So that's why the pregnancy aspect is important. And that's why Rachel is like being upfront about it, even though she knows it might make people be judgmental. Mm-hmm. But she thinks, she doesn't know if it's related or not to Caitlin's disappearance. But I think there's a possibility that it is. Mm-hmm. So Rachel also mentions that leading up to Caitlin going missing, she had been struggling very, very deeply with her depression. She had been struggling with depression for a long time, but it seemed to be very bad at this point in time. She says that Caitlin was drinking a lot. It's unclear whether she meant during the pregnancy or before the pregnancy, but she was drinking a lot and she had started to self-harm again around this time. Now, Rachel also points out to Kendall Ray that it's not like Caitlin was just like living her dream life and this is what it looks like. It's not like this is what Caitlin wanted to happen. She tells Kendall that Caitlin had she and Caitlin had a very, very, very rough upbringing. She didn't really want to get into details, but she says that Caitlin was struggling with severe depression from this and mental health issues. And it's honestly likely that the drinking and all the going out and stuff, it was like a coping mechanism for her. Yes, maybe an unhealthy one, but again, 19 years old. And, if you have a rough upbringing,
people in their 40s still cope that way, so.
Right. But police eventually decided that they're like, okay, we've got to go talk to this guy again. But when they go to his house to look for him, poof, he's gone.
Oh, how convenient for him.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if he just didn't live there anymore, but it sounded more like
gone.
It didn't sound like he was just not home. Like, he was gone.
Like, he was not anywhere where they could find him.
Right.
Interesting.
Now, we don't really know exactly what happened after this because the police have released very few details about the investigation, even to Caitlin's family. But it kind of seems like they just ended it there. They're like, oh, well, he's not here.
Couldn't find him.
Go eat? Like, you just can't find any. Okay, what did you do next? Sounds like nothing. And that's literally, you're being paid to go find him.
Yeah, that's your job.
You're like, oh, I guess he's just not here. Whatever, just let it go. There's a girl who is missing. She's 19. She's missing. Her family hasn't heard from her. Like, it enrages me to my fucking core. Now, if it doesn't enrage you to your core, don't worry because this next part will. The reason, like I said, I've been referring to him this whole time as this guy is because they won't even Police know his name. They went and talked to him. They went to his house. They knew his address. They won't even tell Caitlin's family the guy's name.
Why?
Which seems crazy.
Why not?
I don't know. Like, I get not giving them like his address and his phone number.
But like his name to see if they maybe know of him?
Yeah.
Why would they not do that?
Yeah. Or, you know, if this guy had nothing to do with it, you would think this guy would like want to help.
Yeah.
Look for her.
Hey, we were talking for 6 months, but I don't know her super well. But I was the last one to see her, so...
And after the police went and talked to him once already, and he's saying, oh, I just woke up and she was gone, wouldn't you, like, reach out to her family? Because, again, her family's in Nevada. Like, they're not there to, like, search for... Wouldn't you, like, call her family, be like, what can I do? Hey, just so you know, like, I'm the guy that she was with. Like, what can I go look for her? Do you have any idea, like, what's going... You think you would touch base with the family and be like, what's up? Like, it's sus as fuck that he didn't... Like, I would have... If I was that guy and I had nothing to do with it, because I would never have something to do with something like this, I would have been like, wait, can you get me in touch with her family? This is terrifying. Like, I hope she's okay.
Yeah.
But it sounds like he's avoiding them at all costs. And police at all costs, because it sounds like he just up and moved. I don't know that for sure, but that's what it sounds like.
If that's not sus to the police, I don't know what
it's the
is considered
thing
sus.
I ever heard in my goddamn life.
That's
I'll tell you that.
That's what I'm saying.
Now, any actual investigating that was being done by authorities basically fizzled out at this point. But still, Rachel and Emily, who had been left with almost no resources or information, have never given up and will never give up on trying to find Caitlin. They're basically out there just like trying to solve this case themselves, which is why they've been like reaching out to media channels and like true crime YouTubers and podcasters. And they reached out to me via TikTok. Like, they're trying to get her story out there. Now, even without the police doing fucking jack squat, there were some incidents worthy of noting, like after the fizzling of the investigation. So in August 2018, there was a news story that broke out after multiple houses in a neighborhood found footage on their Ring cameras of a woman who was wearing nothing but a t-shirt and arm restraints, ringing their doorbells in the middle of the night, like in a panic, like looking for help.
Oh, God.
And this happened in Montgomery, Texas. So after seeing the footage, Rachel thought that the girl might be Caitlin. And Caitlin was always blonde, and I believe the girl in this footage was brunette, but Caitlin was a natural brunette. So she thought maybe like her hair could have grown out or something. And it's like,
or
green.
it could have been dyed.
Right. Or if the guy's trying to hide her.
Yeah.
Now, this woman, like, it turned out not to be Caitlin. The woman was eventually identified, although her name has never been released to the public. And her boyfriend had basically been imprisoning her in his home. However, she did, like we said, manage to escape, and after which her abuser shot and killed himself. So very sad, scary story there. But it's also, I can't imagine the feeling of seeing that. Maybe that's her, maybe she's okay and whatever, and then nothing.
The letdown, yeah.
Yeah. Now, around the same time, some human piece of shit decided that it would be funny to make a fake TikTok account posing as Caitlin and then go comment on like a bunch of videos saying stuff like, Caitlin isn't dead. And just like that. Like just trolling. Trolling.
I wish, especially with the come up of social media now, I wish that they had more like repercussions or consequences for people that do that shit, because that's so fucked up on a lot of different levels.
I agree.
It could, because you're trying to impersonate somebody that is missing.
Yeah, and you're interfering with an investigation.
Yeah, you're causing panic. You're causing, I don't know.
Sorry if you just heard the doorbell ring.
Pizza?
I don't know. I've never heard it. I didn't know there was a doorbell at this house.
That's what
People
I'm saying.
usually
I'm like, I don't think I've
in.
ever heard somebody ring the doorbell.
Now, this TikToker fake TikTok account, Rachel was the one that like saw these comments and reported it to police. So I believe the account did end up getting shut down. But what I hope that fucking piece of scum is just like drowning in karma ever since that whole thing.
Yeah.
irks me. So after this, in 2019, a TikToker who I don't know who the TikToker was or anything, so don't ask me. I literally don't know. But a TikToker, I assume it's like a true crime account, like what we post on TikTok. But a TikToker covered Caitlin's case in a couple videos, like trying to drum up some attention on the case. And it worked pretty well. It sounds like they did get a little bit of attention. However, Rachel and Emily were extremely disappointed with this because the TikToker took it further than just trying to get Caitlin's story out there. And she tried to insinuate that there may be a connection between Caitlin's disappearance and the murder of another girl named Brianna Denison, who was Caitlin and Rachel's cousin who had been murdered 10 years before Caitlin went missing.
What?
Like almost, I think it was 10 years, like just a couple days apart. It was both in January.
Creepy.
So now, like Caitlin, Brianna was just 19 years old at the time of her murder. And also like Caitlin, she was extremely beautiful. Go look up pictures of both of these girls, Caitlin Denison and Brianna. They're both just like model level, like absolutely beautiful. And
gorgeous.
And Rachel and Emily are too. I was like, damn, you guys they got good genes going on there. And Emily's not related, but good genes too.
Hey, thanks.
But at the time of her murder, Brianna was studying psychology in Santa Barbara, but was home in Reno for winter break. And she had gone out with friends one night, which was the night of January 19th, 2008. And she decided after they got back from going out, she was just going to stay at her friend's house. So she and this friend went to bed around 4 a.m. on January 20th. However, when the friend woke up in the morning, just about 5 hours later, around 9 a.m., Brianna was gone. The only thing left was a small bloodstain on her pillow. Now, local investigators and the FBI searched for Brianna for 26 days until one day, a man on his lunch break from work noticed something bright orange sticking out of a pile of leaves and small tree branches. He got closer and realized that it was a sock, and this sock was on the foot of what he thought at first was a mannequin, but quickly realized that it was the body of a young girl.
It's never a mannequin.
Fully nude except for her neon orange socks.
Oh, no.
She was confirmed to be Brianna the next day, and her autopsy showed that she had been raped before she was strangled to death. Now, DNA evidence eventually identified Brianna's killer as 27-year-old James Michael Biella, who was charged with Brianna's murder about 10 months after the crime and was later convicted of kidnapping, sexual assault, and murder. He was given the death penalty for the rape and murder of Brianna, but his DNA was also connected to like multiple other kidnappings and rapes. So this wasn't his only crime.
Yeah.
And so that led him to be given 4 additional life sentences on top of the death sentence. So this TikToker is covering Caitlin's case, and she's basically saying, well, they were like Brianna's murder and Caitlin's disappearance were like 10 years apart almost to the day, like kind of insinuating that they're connected. And this kind of just led to a lot of attention because people were just diving down like rabbit holes of speculation and like conspiracy theories just based off of when they went missing.
I mean, it is kind of crazy, but
if
the date is the only thing that they think is connected, then that's a stretch.
This is what my math teacher told me. I think it was math. Correlation is not causation, okay? Just because they both went missing in January, like 10 years apart, doesn't mean that it's connected. You have to find something that shows that there's nothing to show that they're connected at all. And it makes no sense because Brianna's killer, like, was already in prison for almost 10 years by the time Caitlin went missing.
Yeah, so it couldn't have been him.
Yeah, it obviously, like, it wasn't him. And he was identified by DNA, so it's not even like, well, maybe they got the wrong guy or something. It's like, no, it was him.
You guys are making too many connections where they don't actually connect.
Exactly. Well, when there's still no answers, guys, like, that can be
harmful
to the investigation and the attention that like the victim deserves. So I've only read brief overviews of Brianna's case. So I want to be clear, I don't really know all of the details, but from looking at it from a surface level, it seems like her case was handled relatively well by the police. There was an immediate reaction when she went missing. Her disappearance was taken very seriously. The FBI became involved early on, all of that. And it just leaves me wondering why Caitlyn isn't receiving the same level of urgency and importance from authorities. It's like Caitlyn goes missing and they're like, well, we're not going to tell you this guy's name. Oh, I don't know. We couldn't really find footage from the airport and whatever.
Yeah, and then they go try to find the guy at his house and they're like, oh, well, must not be home. So that's a dead end.
And that's where, and this is what I'm about to say is conjecture. This is allegedly, this is not a fact, but like, where this goes back to what Rachel was saying about, I feel like whenever people hear that she was a dancer, they immediately are just like, well, that's what happens type of thing. Yeah. That's what happens.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, again, I don't know, but that's the impression I get here. It's, well, Brianna was a student. She was studying psychology at school and she goes missing. And it's like everyone's search as they should be.
Yeah.
As they should be. But then Caitlyn goes missing and it's, well, she worked in a dangerous career path. It's like she wasn't in war.
Yeah, status and your career have nothing to do with whether you should have justice for somebody or be able to find you. That doesn't make any sense at all.
Right. And at this, you know, it's like she's been missing it's not like she's gone for 2 weeks and it's, well, maybe she was just like on a little trip. She literally told her sister she was scared for her life of this guy.
And then she was gone.
And then she stopped communicating with her sister. It's like they act like she, you know, it's not like she sent a text that said, hey, I don't want to talk to you for 2 weeks. I need a vacation. And she's only been like, she's been missing for, at this point, I think by the time this comes out, because it'll probably come out in January, it'll be about 7 years since she went missing. And it's like, why is she not receiving the same attention from I truly believe that if she was like, you know, a girl who went to a private school and played the violin and never had a sip of alcohol in her life, and she did this, even if she flew to another state and whatever, I feel like, first of all, FBI involvement right away, you're crossing state lines. Mm-hmm. But if a girl like that were to text someone and say, I'm scared for my life, and then no one hears from her ever again, I feel like there would have been full throttle all over the news.
Yep.
Everybody's looking for her. FBI's involved. And I feel like we kind of see that with her cousin Brianna. Like, why? Brianna deserved all that attention and she deserved everybody looking for her. But Caitlyn deserves it too. And that's why I feel like true crime is important. I know some people look at it in a negative light, like it's like entertainment, but I'm going to get into Kendall Rae's video because that made some waves, my friends. Because, so Rachel told Kendall Rae in the video, like when Reno police were looking into it and the investigation was first open, she felt like they were doing a good job and they were like being diligent and communicating with the family and whatever. But eventually, the investigation was taken over by Midland police. And after that, it just kind of seemed to go downhill pretty quickly. So she tells Kendall Rae this. And Kendall Rae puts out this video. I believe it was in 2021. Don't quote me on that. I'd have to look. I didn't write it down. I'm sorry. But it was a few years ago. And this video collected 2.2 million views. Oh, I said in the last 2 years. So it must have been in 2022. So she gets millions of views on this thing. And basically they're like, yeah, police aren't fucking doing anything about my sister who's been missing for I can't do math. At that point, what, 4 years? 5 years almost? Yeah. And so now 2.2 million people are seeing this. And guess what? Makes the police look bad when they don't do their jobs and look for a missing girl. And so the Midland Police Department, then after this video comes out, they come out and announce that they have assigned a new detective to Caitlyn's case and moved her up on the priority list, saying that they would start the investigation from scratch to basically make sure it was done right because it wasn't done right the first time.
Oh, yeah. Maybe it's a lot easier to do something right the first time.
Exactly. So this, my friends, is why true crime podcasts, YouTube videos, TikTok videos that go viral, shows, all of that, these things matter. And I get it. we may never have an episode that makes a change like this, but I think there's a purpose to these things. And anyway, I just wanted fuck yeah, Kendall Ray. That makes me happy that thank God for that
Kendall
video.
Ray.
Huzzah, Kendall Ray. So yes, there's like this entertainment aspect. Like she wants millions of viewers. First of all, she's going to make a lot of money with millions of viewers. Okay. It's a win-win situation, but she's also getting millions of people riled up who are going to fight for change for Caitlyn, because that's really, I think in these cases where nothing is happening, like we were talking about with Max DeVries, probably it's been like a month or two now, but where the police aren't doing anything, they're not going to start doing something out of nowhere for no reason.
Yeah.
You got to shame them into it is what it seems like. I mean, I'm sure there's like good detectives out there that like they find a case like that and they're like, oh my God, this has been neglected. I totally believe there are.
Yeah.
But like, I think some of them, you got to shame them into it because I'm sure they have more cases on their plate than they can handle. But anyway, so they post that video. And according to Newsnet 9, Caitlyn's case was picked up by a new detective who was Detective Jenny Alonzo. And she told the news station, Newsnet 9, quote, "The case came back to light in November of 2021 because a YouTuber had put her case online." So it was 2021, sorry. I'm making this really confusing. I wrote something wrong there, but it was 2021. But she says, the case came back into light of November of 2021 because a YouTuber had put her case online. And so it came back to our knowledge that she was missing still. I took on the case and I believe that there were other avenues of approach that we haven't done back in 2018 that we could do follow-ups on, end quote. I just want to go back to one little part of this quote where she said, and so it came back to our knowledge that she was missing still. So this is 2021. She went missing in 2018. She was reported missing right away. Reno police took it. Pretty soon they transferred it to Midland when they realized she was in Texas. And you have an open case of a missing person and you don't know that she's missing still?
Yeah, like they don't do any follow-ups on any of the open cases, or they just don't know that they're open, or
so
what?
It sounds like they went to that guy's house. I don't know, yeah, she left in the middle of the night and then whatever.
And then they just dropped it? Like
then they go
didn't
back
even...
to look for him. He's gone, suspicious as fuck, but they just let it go. And then it sounds like no one was looking for her.
I'd be so mad if I was her sisters.
Oh my God, dude. I can't even imagine. No one was looking for her the whole time.
Yeah.
And we have no idea what happened to her. We still don't. But it's like, what if she was like that other girl who's like being held prisoner? Mm-hmm. And then you find her
Do we know
dead.
How long?
You could be like, you could have saved her. Like we don't know the situation, but what the fuck?
How long was that other girl? Do you know how long she was?
I don't know. I think that information's probably out there, but I don't know. But what the fuck?
Yeah.
And by the way, no hate to Detective Alonzo because she was just put on the case like after Kendall Ray's video.
Like she just got held this can of worms.
It wasn't her, but like first she put her foot in her. She shouldn't have said it like that.
Yeah.
But also, I'm glad she did. I'm glad she did instead of trying to cover it up. Mm-hmm. She was just like, she's probably pissed too, dude. I don't know this lady, but I just feel like she's a woman, so she's probably pissed about this too.
Yeah. That's probably why she said it. She's like, I'm going to call out all these motherfuckers that just let this case go for 4 years and not do anything about it.
It just absolutely boggles my mind how they could not know that she was still... That is literally your job. We as taxpayers, or I guess the taxpayers in Midland, are literally paying you to know whether someone is missing or not.
I wonder if they don't do their job correctly, they can be like, hey, can I get some of that tax money back since it didn't really go to good use, obviously.
Yeah, I don't think that they're going to give anything back.
That'd be nice.
But shame on you guys, Midland Police Department. Now, Rachel told me that since all of this, Detective Alonzo was actually transferred to a different department. And they only found this out through the Texas Rangers. So it wasn't even the Midland Police that told them this. And since she was transferred, there was a new detective that was assigned to the case since then. They have not had any communication with this newest detective at all.
Yeah, you guys know what you could do to make up for that maybe is actually put some effort into finding her, maybe would be cool.
It's just so sad that it took 2.2 million viewers and like all these
in
people
4
like
years
writing into the police and stuff to get this done. This is, every victim should get this, because imagine if Caitlyn didn't have family to fight for her and to be reaching out to the media like this. She would have just been forgotten about.
Yep.
It's horrific, dude. And this is the kind of stuff that makes me so angry. But there is a lot of information about this man that has come out. So I think maybe police obviously know it, but I don't know if the family does. But it is said that he worked as a truck driver in the Permian Basin oil industry. And we also know that he drove a huge lifted Ford F-250 that was like dark maroon. Now, we have a photo of that man's actual vehicle. Like, it's not just the same make and model and color.
Like
it's like
color.
Literally a photo of his car that he owned or owns. And so, and it's very like identifiable when you see this picture, which by the way, it will be on our Instagram and Facebook. So make sure, especially if you live in Texas or like the surrounding states, please go look at it, because I do think that like it is so distinct. If you knew this guy or know this guy even tangentially, like even if you're not friends with him, but like
you would recognize his
someone
truck.
who knows him, like you would recognize his truck.
Yeah.
Like it's very, very recognizable. And this is the vehicle that Caitlyn was last seen in. We know that she was in this car with this guy. Now it's believed that after arriving in Texas on January 9th, 2018, Caitlyn and the man spent the night in his RV, which we also have photos of. So please look at those as well. It is an Aspen Trail, which is like the brand of RV. It's a towed trailer, so it's not drivable. You have to tow it with a car, like a giant truck. And like the RV itself is mainly black and white, and then it has some red detailing on it. Again, please check out the picture if you live in the area and see if you recognize it. So it's believed that they sleep in the RV this first night that they're in Texas, and they think that it was likely parked somewhere in West Odessa that night. Then the next day, which by the way, I should add, I don't know how they know all of this. I couldn't find information about like how they got all this info. Like,
well, yeah, because they couldn't find the guy, right? To ask him. Or did they find him before that, and then when they went back to ask him more stuff, he was gone?
I don't know if this was stuff that the police already knew about this guy, or if this is stuff that like Jenny Alonzo found out when she took over the case, or if she got the case file, it already had all this information in it, and then she was like not an idiot like the rest of them and shared it. I don't know. But this is the information is the important part. So the next day, which was January 10th, the RV was moved to Midland, and it was parked just south of the IH-20 Loop 250. Now, you guys know me and Emily are very bad with directions, so you might be too. If you like us, you're probably bad with directions.
That's okay.
If you don't know, if you live in the area and that doesn't ring a bell off the top of your head where that is, we have a map that we will be sharing on Facebook and Instagram that shows like where this location is. It's pinned on the map. So please, if you've ever been to the Midland, Odessa area, just go look at the map, look at the pictures of the car and the RV. You don't know what you might know until you see it. So please take a look. Now, this day that the RV was parked at this, I'm going to say it one more time so people can check it out. The IH-20 Loop 250. That's January 10th. This is the same day that Caitlin was at the Walmart, which is located at 4517 North Midland Drive. So when she called Rachel from the Walmart saying that, you know, I'm with this guy, whatever, gets off the phone and then sends messages saying that she was scared. This is the same day. So she's saying she's afraid for her life. They're staying in this RV. No one hears from her again. And like I said, they've only been there a few days. So this guy's saying, oh, she just up and left. It's, well, why? Where would she go? Why wouldn't she just go home then?
So when her sister asked her to send her location, was that like a share indefinitely location? Like she just had her moving location everywhere?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know.
Was it just like a one-time, here's my PIN?
I think it was like a PIN.
Okay.
From how I read the story, and again, I'm not 1,000% sure on this, but it sounded like when Caitlin called Rachel from the Walmart that day, she might have been using the Walmart's Wi-Fi to make the call. So I think it's possible maybe she wasn't using her phone service at the time and was like just kept her phone on her and then used it when she had Wi-Fi. I know a lot of people who do that, especially when you're a teenager.
Yeah.
Now, I know you guys hate when I'm just like, I don't know, but it's very important to represent what is fact, what is unclear, all of that. And one more thing that I don't know how they know is that the missing person packet for Caitlin also states that it's believed that after they left that Walmart, Caitlin and the man went to Domino's Pizza in Odessa, which is located on Linda Avenue. And after grabbing pizza, it's believed that they headed to Rick's Cabaret, which was one of the clubs where Caitlin was like auditioning to work. So I don't know. Again, maybe that is from location data, but then it's, well, what happened to her phone? Was it turned off? No idea. It might just be that like people saw them there or they found security footage there or they tracked the guy's phone. I don't know. But all of this, what I do know is that all of this is very important information. So if you live in this area, please think back. I know it was years ago now, like January 2018. Like, go through your old calendars, like whether it's digital or whatever, if you keep a calendar, I don't know. But look at these pictures at the very least, because I feel like this guy, like someone else knows something. If someone, this guy's friends or something have to be like, what happened to that girl you were with? And whatever. It's just weird. Now, Rachel and Emily made it very clear to me when I was talking with them what their goals are of getting more press coverage, more media coverage. And they made it clear that they are not looking for people to come forward and identify this man. Like we talked about earlier in the episode, police already know who this man is. They have already spoken with him. That will not be new information. That won't really help push the investigation forward. Unless you have some information about what happened to Caitlin or this guy's whereabouts or something that's directly related. But just his name, they already have that. That's not what they need. It's just that the police won't release his name because it's an open investigation. Really, what their goal is in releasing the picture of the truck and the RV and the maps and all of that we're going to share, it's to have witnesses come forward who have knowledge of any movements of this truck in January 2018 in West Texas. Or if there's anyone out there with any information about what happened to Caitlin in West Texas in 2018, they want to know, did you see Caitlin? Did you see the truck? They also mentioned that there were oil field workers who may have stayed in the same campground or man camp. I'm not sure what a man camp is, but in the same campground where this guy was staying with the truck and the RV. So if you saw them at a campground, you saw him or her or the truck at Walmart or getting pizza, anywhere in 2018, especially January, I'm sure they're interested in information afterwards as well, February, even into the spring. Please, please, please come forward. We put a ton of links in the show notes where you can share this information with them. You can email them. You can go to their Facebook page. You can reach out to Crime Stoppers. We've got all of the links, all of the information you need in the show notes. And Yeah, I mean, that day, January 10th, that was the last day that any of Caitlin's family or friends ever heard from her again. Like I said, this January of 2025, which I think this episode will come out January 2025, it'll make it 7 years that she's been missing. And almost half that time, no one was looking for her, it sounds like.
Yeah, that's so infuriating.
Infuriating, for sure. There are a couple of follow-up things that I'm going to ask you to do. First of all, check out those photos. They're going to be on our Instagram and Facebook. In the post, we will also link to the Find Caitlin Denison Facebook page. We'll link in the Facebook post. But I will have links in the show notes to take you to a couple of pages. So the Facebook page, and then Rachel and Emily also have Twitters where they post about this. And there's also a GoFundMe. And the funds for the GoFundMe are going to be used for, they said, maybe a private investigator. But they also said if they need to travel to Texas to help look for her or answer questions or talk to police or whatever. So any funds donated will be used to help find Caitlin. And they also said, which this is horrific that people have to think this way, they said on the off chance that she's found dead, they'll use it for her memorial expenses.
Oh, that's sad.
Which is heartbreaking, but that's the reality that these girls, and they're young girls, they are only 25 years old. I cannot imagine. My heart breaks for them. And I really hope it ends with Caitlin being found alive and well.
Yeah.
Or physically well, at least.
Or
because
at least
it sounds
alive.
like something bad happened to her.
Yeah, at least alive would be.
Now, if you have any information, you can call, which this phone number goes to their front desk for the police department, and then the calls will be forwarded. But you can call 432-685-7108. You can also submit a tip online through the Texas Rangers Cold Case website. You can contact the Texas Rangers by telephone at 1-800-346-3243. You can call Crime Stoppers. You've got options. So if you know something about what happened to Caitlin and you're like, well, this guy's my buddy and I'm not even sure he did something or whatever, you can submit a tip anonymously. Go through Crime Stoppers. They'll keep it anonymous. I'm sure there's a way that you can do it anonymous through email too, but
and if you
say
don't
something.
If you don't think that you should, then I think your conscience will teach you a lesson. Or I hope it does.
I hope so too. Now, the Texas Crime Stoppers is offering a cash reward. It says for up to $3,000 to any person who provides information that leads to the arrest of the person or persons responsible for this crime. But to be eligible for any cash rewards for your information, the tip must be submitted through the Crime Stoppers hotline, which is 1-800-252-TIPS. And TIPS is 8477. But like I said, all tips through Crime Stoppers, that's their thing. They keep you anonymous. So if you're scared for some reason, submit a tip anonymously. And I don't know. Someone's got to know something. And like his mom.
Yeah.
They interviewed his mom too.
Yeah, like that's so weird. Why would they interview his mom?
I think he must have lived with her.
Maybe like a character witness? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, so my cousin, he comes to stay with us every once in a while for the weekend. And he came over Halloween and he was telling me on his drive over, because he has to drive a few hours. He was like, oh yeah, like I listened to your podcast on my way here. And I was like, oh yeah, did you like it? He was like, well, I thought it was really good. But then I got to the end and I'm just like used to a resolution. And then you were like, and that's the end. And with no resolution.
Yeah, because he doesn't listen to true crime. You know what I mean? He was just listening because it's me. And he was like, yeah, I just was expecting a resolution of some sort. But I don't remember what episode he said he listened to.
As do I.
But that's how I feel about every time I end an unsolved case like this. It's you get to this point and then it's, and that's all we know.
Yeah.
And I have nothing else for you. No resolution of any sort. It's one of those things where I always like to look at true crime as there's a duality to it and both sides can be true. So it's no resolution. It's really frustrating because that's our truth for us because it's not our loved one. We're just like, oh my God, it's unsolved and that's it. But like for the families, It's not just, and that's all.
Yeah.
And tomorrow
Well,
we're
it
all
never
gonna,
will be. It never will be for them.
And then
until they find out.
Exactly. This is tormenting. You're like the way my cousin said, and by the way, like I'm not trying to make it sound like my cousin said something wrong. It's just, it's true. Like I totally get his point. Like he's not used to a story.
Yeah,
like
because
any
he's like a
that.
lot of people that aren't super into true crime.
But it's like, for us, it's okay. Well, oh man, story's over without a resolution. But this is their lives. Like the story's not over. They're just tormented trying to figure out what happened every single day. I don't know. But Rachel and Emily, thank you so much for bringing Caitlin's case to my attention. This is the kind of stuff, you know, I'm a true crime person. I find the famous cases, John Benet Ramsey, super interesting. But this is the kind of stuff that is important. So I really appreciate you bringing this to my attention so we could, I don't know, do what we can. And I just want to say that Caitlin is very, 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 very lucky to have people like you in her corner fighting for her. Because, yeah, I say, oh, Kendall Rae made this video that changed the whole investigation around. But without you guys, that never would have been possible. Really, yeah, she was a tool. Kendall Rae was a tool to help it. But you guys are the ones who made the police look into this again. So good on you. And I find you impressive. So
we're going to try to keep that energy rolling.
All right. Well, thank you for listening, everybody. We're happy to have you here in the gallery. And I think for today, court is adjourned.